Good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Money and More Show. This is the Small Business Insight Edition. I'm Don Emmett, Managing Director of Entrust Associates. And our guest in the studio today is Bob Kern. Bob is the owner and president of TIPS Publishing, or Technical Publishing?
TIPS Technical Publishing.
TIPS Technical Publishing. Real interesting company based here in Carrboro, North Carolina. So, Bob, welcome. Thanks for coming by.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Don. It's good to see where the magic happens. I've been following you as the rock and roll doctor for a while, and now it's good to see you as the Entrust
Yes,
director.
and the many hats that I wear. And so, again, thanks for coming in. Thanks for all people for tuning in to WCOM LP, Chapel Hill and Carrboro. And Bob, why don't you tell us about the Technical Publishing and how you got to where you are.
Okay. Fell in love.
Oh.
Fell in love, and the woman said, you want to get married, you have to have a real job. Not a bad thing to have when you're getting married.
Okay.
So I was right out of college, and I found a job working with textbooks, which I loved. I've always been a collector of books, and so I started my publishing career as a textbook sales rep for Prentice Hall,
Oh, really?
which was the largest textbook provider to higher education in the country, perhaps in the world, and spent about 12 years there and ended up in the new media side, making very cool products to help instructors bring the content to the student that wasn't book-based, so audio, visual, interactive. After my stint with Prentice Hall, I got recruited down to North Carolina by a company called Ventana, who was one of the leading internet publishers at the time.
Okay.
And they were purchased by Thomson, and I was there for the last year of the buyout. So I was there from December of '97 to December of '98, charged with doubling the publishing program,
Okay.
which we did. It was a great, crazy ride. Totally restructured the publishing side and the production side, and had a good time doing it, and brought a lot of great books to market. And at the end of that, Thomson said, okay, now we're going to transfer all of your assets to this other company, and you get to put all of these people out of work.
Oh.
And it was like, wow, that was not a lot of fun. So I spent the next 9 months helping the people that worked for me get part-time work through all of my connections in publishing that I'd established from my 12 years with Prentice Hall.
Okay.
And I would take a little piece of that as a markup and hand out all this freelance work, and eventually that freelance work was coming in more and more, but the people that I had doing it started getting full-time jobs. So I kept the freelance work in-house and built my own book production company in-house based on that transition phase out of Ventana, and called it TIPS Technical Publishing. TIPS was a horrible acronym.
Okay.
Technical Information Publishing Solutions.
Okay, I was wondering what the I was for.
Yeah, so bad acronym. So marketing I am not. So we put the technical publishing in after a year or two because people had no idea what TIPS meant.
Okay.
And been doing it for 18 years now.
Although you're somewhat ahead of the curve now, I guess the thing in marketing is to have a name that, Zapatos or things that Google that doesn't necessarily tell
Exactly
the
what's going
story.
on. Yeah. Okay, well then, too far ahead of the curve,
Okay.
perhaps. Anyhow, so yeah, 18 years now. We used to work with computer trade publishers.
Okay.
And bring computer books to the market, but as you may or may well not remember, in the early 2000s, the computer trade market kind of tanked. Overpublished, and the technology companies, the floor fell out from underneath them, and as happened in the tech market, so happened in the publishing market about that tech market. So then we began to diversify. And about a year ago, I would say, maybe 2 years ago, I'd say, we do everything but kids' books and poetry. And in the last 2 years, of course, what have we done? Kids' books and poetry. So we pretty much take any book and help bring it to market. And whereas we used to work with large publishers, that's transitioned now into working with associations and corporations and individuals to help them bring their stories to market. So we call it assisted self-publishing. So if you had a book and you wanted to bring it to market, you would be the author of the book, but we would help you do everything other than write the book, so that your book could then be available as an ebook from Amazon on Kindle, from the iBook store, or print on demand through CreateSpace or Lightning Source.
So yeah, obviously your business, the publishing industry you picked a great time to get into the industry. Change, if there's anything we can count on, I suppose, in life is change, and
Yeah.
that industry has certainly seen an enormous amount of change, and you and your company obviously have had to adapt and change
Yeah.
to the marketplace.
We've had to reinvent ourselves a couple times. One of the first big changes was globalization, and that hit us really hard. The industry used to be a cottage industry, so you would work for a large publisher for a number of years, and then you'd go off on your own, and through the ties with that publisher, you'd get enough work to stay in business on your own. And there were literally thousands of people like me out there providing publishers with services. And that consolidated, all of that work consolidated and was offshored through globalization, and now a lot of that work is done in India and China and Asian countries. And when that happened, all of my big clients disappeared. So 90% of my business went away, and I had to start finding smaller clients that could not leverage offshore relationships and provide them work, but the price point of the work came way down because of the offshore pressures.
Which brings on, when you speak global, which brings up language issues. Do you also get involved with putting out a French edition or a Spanish edition of a book?
In fact, we do. We've got some language employees that specialize in French, German, and such. And we've got enough resources because of the university that we can pretty much help with any particular language you're interested in. Translations is not our business. There's some great translation companies in the area, but we do help get translated books done. My most interesting book was with the FIT organization.
The fashion student?
No, fitness.
Okay.
Fitness organization. It's a fitness publisher out of Pennsylvania. And they had a conference in Dubai, and they wanted the book in English and in Arabic. So we did a two-part book where if you hold it as a Westerner would in the front, you read half of the book from the front to the middle is English, but if you turn the book over, you read it from the back to the middle, it's in Arabic.
It's in Arabic.
Yeah, so that was a very cool book to work on.
Well, that's certainly addressing globalization. You spoke a little about employees, and I know you have kind of a creative strategy in terms of your employee strategy, and being where we are here in the Research Triangle, effectively, we're three major universities, UNC at Chapel Hill, Duke University's up the road, and NC State, about 20 miles closer in Raleigh. I know you've used all these resources. Can you tell us a little about your employee strategy and how you attract and retain great people?
Yeah. Employees are kind of the heart of all businesses, and the employees in publishing need to have some very special characteristics that are hard to find. So we have job bulletin boards and internship bulletin boards at all of the universities close by, and we pull in between 6 and 12 interns over the course of a year. And we'll run internship programs in the spring, the summer, and the fall. And from those interns, we provide to them training in publishing, and most of them are English majors or related majors, but surprisingly, we found some of our best people as econ majors and music majors. And the reason is that the skills in publishing that you need are attention to detail and an inquisitive mind that likes to solve problems. So we find that the econ and the music people have great attention to detail, and they've made for great assets to our company. In fact, I've got 2 music majors right now.
No kidding. I wouldn't have thought that.
So we have the publishing program where they come in, and over the first course of an internship, under the first semester of an internship, they'll learn all of the basics, and then If it's a good fit for them and for us, we'll bring them on for additional semesters, and quite often that will work into freelance, part-time, or full-time work. In fact, my managing editor now, Jamie Maxwell, great girl, started out as an intern, and now she is in charge of the written word that comes out of our shop.
Wow. That's great. And I'm sure, you know, as your interns graduate, you know, some, as you said, you know, stay on and perhaps full-time work, and others go on to careers in
Variety things, but a lot of them in publishing.
yeah.
Some of them are actually freelancers with me still that are far afield. I've got a woman who was my managing editor many years ago who's in Michigan, followed her husband up to, he was going to the pharmacy school up there. And really I've got former interns, over 100 now, spread all over the country, a good number of them publishing.
But so my next, you know, question is usually about customer acquisition. I'm not quite sure who is your customer and how do you acquire them?
Good question. With difficulty is how they're acquired. A customer is the most valuable thing in my business. We take customer service very seriously. And our customers are either individuals who want to self-publish, associations and corporations who have a limited publishing program, or small to mid-sized publishers that have overflow work. So you want to staff if you have a mid to large publishing company, you want to staff it not to your peak, but to somewhere between your valley and midpoint. So whenever you get an excess amount of work, you can't do it in-house, I'm on the list of trusted vendors and they'll send that work to me. So for instance, I work with Georgetown University Press and Ohio University Press. And then corporations and associations like the American Nurses Association, they do a lot of publishing projects for their huge, huge constituency, and they send me a large part of their material to produce. And then individuals in the area. We've got Dr. Burke Huey, who's an emeritus faculty from UNC, who's the expert in Bessarabian Germans. And so we're helping him publish his 600-plus page tome of the migration of that group of people.
Wow. Very cool. So how do these people find you? Do you go into trade shows or associations? Is it internet-based? How? If I'm an association, I have some overflow work, or are they Googling, or?
There's a mixture of internet-based discovery where got my technical publishing domain very early, so that was good.
Okay.
So if you Google technical publishing, we come up at #1.
Okay.
So that has helped. Most of it's really a mixture of word of mouth and cold calls. So I'll do business development, I'll see all of the associations in Alexandria, and I'll just get on the phone and ride the phone until I find the managing editor at one of the associations and give them my elevator pitch as to what we do and how we might be of service to them.
Okay. Just good old-fashioned
Pounding the pavement.
pound the pavement,
Yeah.
dialing for dollars.
Yeah.
So Bob, having to reinvent yourself several times, that's got to be a stressful endeavor. And is there a time or an event when you started this endeavor? Having had a job for a traditional publishing job for 12 years, and made the decision, I guess, what you might be called somewhat of an accidental entrepreneur,
Yeah.
which happens to a lot of people. And when did you know that this was going to be successful? What happened, or was there a time period or an event that you said, I think I can make a living doing this? Or?
My wife would say, "Are you really successful yet, Bob?"
Okay.
But in reality, all kidding aside, it was about 9-10 months into the business when it was just me and a single intern and 2 or 3 projects. And I started to reach out and found out that there was more overflow work out there than I realized. And at that point, I really made the decision not to go back to New York and get a job with another one of the major publishers, but to stick it out, to do the hard business development work, to acquire the clients, to make a go of it. And major, ebbs and flows in the market caused my business to ebb and flow as well, but we've kind of stuck to it 18 years now. People told me in the beginning, you make it 5 years and then you're good. And it's like, well, no, 5 years is when the floor fell out and everything offshored, and I had to reinvent myself, and then I was good for another 8 or 9 years, and then everything went digital with ebooks, and I rode that wave for the last 5 or 6 years, and that was a good wave. And now that's become kind of mainstream.
Okay.
So I'm looking for what the next wave is to ride and to really then help the traditional clients that I can. I think my biggest client is the hardest one to reach, and that's the individual. I'm a firm believer that everybody has a book inside them, and that unlike the days of old when you couldn't bring a book to market unless you had $50,000 and were selected by a publisher, now anybody can bring a book to market. And we like to help them bring that book to market and make it as professional as possible so that it's something that everybody can read and take away something from, and they can feel proud about what they brought to market.